Hi everybody, thanks for tuning back into our channel. Today we're gonna review everything that we've been doing in the past 4 LEGO videos. And as you can see, I have the 4 polybag sets right in front of me. I have the Creator's Set 30666 with the gift animals, the LEGO Technic 30682, the Mars Rover Perseverance, and then we have the Friends LEGO 30659, and then finally the last video that we did was the Creator 30667 Animal Birthday Party. So the theme for all 4 of these sets was that we don't just build a model you see in the picture in front of you here, but rather take the pieces from each of these sets and make something completely different. In some cases, I even did builds where the themes of the build was completely different from the intent of the original set. So for example, Creator, where you have animals, I use the pieces in this set to make machines. Whereas the Technic set, I use the pieces to make creatures and animals. Friends set, I did the same thing. I used it to make machines, and in some cases, some minor robotic creatures. And then Creator, same idea. So why am I showing all these 4 sets? There's actually a reason why I want to use these 4 sets today. And it's because with all the pieces combined, there are 294 pieces if you combine the 4 sets together. I'm going to make something that is not what these 4 sets were intended to make. And I'm going to bring it to the table and show it to everybody. So there you have it. Using these 4 unrelated sets, other than the fact that they're polybags, I used almost all the pieces to put together this mecha. I have to say that with all the pieces that are included, I did have some leftover pieces. They're all in this little baggie here. And as you can see, in this baggie, you have the fence pieces, you have the flower pieces, you have the butterfly pieces, and you have some gear and Technic pieces left over. As hard as I tried, I just couldn't incorporate it into the model without having it not looking, coherent with what I have in front of me here. Out of all the pieces, there are only 20 pieces left behind. That's all that's left behind. And then the rest, they're all made into this robot or its accessories. So I'm gonna go through each of these parts throughout this video and kind of give you the thought process behind how I came to making this model. So I'm going to start with the weapons. Whenever you look at a mecha, you know they're always armed to the teeth. So they're going to have some sort of melee weapon, which is the sword I have here. It's like a little beam saber. And then you have your standard rifle for any warlike robot that you see in the anime and the manga. And then of course you have a really powerful weapon, like in the form of a cannon or some sort of rocket blaster. And that's what this is. So each of these pieces, I try to make it look like a weapon that you would see in a conventional military arsenal. So for a rifle, you would have something like this. You would have like a handle, some sort of stock. You would have a body where you have room for like an energy pod or some sort of like projectile chamber. And of course you have your barrel. So what I did was I used the pieces from the Friends set, where the green pieces are used for the stem, for the flowers. And then you have the balloon from the Creator set, where you have the elephant and a penguin celebrating around a cake, like a very festive setting. And then I have pieces from the Creator set where you build the gift animals. And then I have the Technic pieces that I got from the Mars rover. The beam saber is very self-explanatory. It's pretty much a bunch of stock pieces put together into one long weapon. And then the cannon's I took a little bit more design liberties to it. I want to give it a futuristic look to it by adding certain elements where it looks like there's like energy pods to it, and that's where I use the Mars rover wheels, stack them together, and then put them into like a configuration where it looks like there's a main body where there's that power pack, and that's what these 3 wheels form. And then For a more unconventional barrel look, I used a cone piece that's used for the party hats in the Lego creator set with the animal birthday party. And then I use pieces from the Mars rover to kind of tie it all together to make it so that everything kind of fits into place. Now we're going to move on to the main build, which is this robot. And I'm going to kind of shift the angles a little bit so you can have a better look at it. As you can see, there's two main components to this build. Number one is, of course, the mecha itself. And then the second component is the stand. A lot of the Gundam models, you would have the option of putting your model on a stand so you can pose it or just help support it. And in this case, it also does the same thing. So I'm going to keep on a stand because it helps it stand up. It also gives me the ability to pose it in certain directions without losing its stability. A few of the notes I want to make is that this robot is almost fully posable. The only area where it doesn't have any posability is actually in the lower body. There's no waist posability, there's no hip posability, and there's very limited ankle posability, like you can't twist it. But everything else, the head is on a ball joint. The arms, I have it set up so that there's a universal joint setup using the pieces from mostly the creator sets and the Technic set. I'm going to start from the bottom here. I'm going to start with a stand. The stand is detachable from the main build, like so. I'm just going to sit this guy down here. Now the stand is simple, but kind of complex at the same time. And the reason why I'm saying that is because number one, you want to make it so that it doesn't look like a block of ugly thing. And at the same time, it should have enough weight and have enough stability. It should be sturdy enough for it to hold up the weight of the main build. So in this case, what you can see here is I stabilize the piece by having this octagonal piece hooked up to the clips. And the clips themselves, they're clipped onto the main base. Now this base is from the front set right here, where it serves as the main flower bed. But at the same time, there's enough stability for this so that when you put on weight and when it leans forward, there's enough foothold for this not to tip over. So this is the reason why I use this. Now, the main stand, what I had to do is I had to take the stem. There's a stem piece right here that's also from the Technic Lego Mars rover. Kind of like put it through the bottom up, and it's secured by these two round plates with the axle hole in the middle. So this is not going anywhere. And then I extended the post or the stand post with the various Technic bricks and some of the elements from the creator set to finish off the stand. So there's a post here that you can clip onto the robot. Now, when you look at the robot, look at the back of it. I have some Technic holes here, and that's where this post goes onto, like so. And when you clip onto it, it holds up the weight to allow for it to stand up, and you can pose it. And I'll show you some of the points of articulations right now. So as you can see, the hip moves forward and backwards, and there's a knee articulation. Now the ankle, there's limited articulation, but as you can see, it can move left and right. It just doesn't move forward and backwards. That's where the limit is. This is the same for the right leg. The right leg also has the same posability. Now moving up, there, as I mentioned before, there are no waist articulation. Okay, but there are two skirt pieces on the side, and they are pretty much a staple of a lot of the Gundam models where you had a skirt armor. And I choose the black piece because it kind of blends in with the front piece here, where the belt armor is, or the waist armor is. So there's that unity when you put together this build. The head is on a ball joint, as I mentioned before, and you can move that left and right. Now, you may notice there's these two eyeballs there. And that's because the head is actually a module by itself. It's a separate build that you can kind of customize if you don't like this look. But for me, it's essential that this the head doesn't move when you move the ball joint, because otherwise it'll just pop right off. The arms is a little tricky because there's no pieces in any of these sets that serves as a ball joint. So what I had to do is I actually had to make one from scratch. So I'm gonna kind of turn your attention here to the arm. So as you can see, there's a lot of hinge pieces for the gift animal set, and there's some hinge pieces for the animal birthday party set. So what I did was I took the hinge pieces, found a way to connect them, and the connectors, as you can see, the dark gray pieces, they're from the Technic set. So from the Technic set, I married the pieces together with the clips from the Friends set. Now the Friends set had the clips where you had the petals for the sunflower. So the two clips, they actually connect the Technic piece, the dark Technic piece, to form a swivel here. Okay, and the hinge piece from the other two creator sets, it allowed you to elevate your arm on like sideways like this. So that way you have both the front and forward movement and the sideways movement. That way that's how you kind of solve the problem of not having that shoulder universal joint, by kind of building your own joints. Now, the reason why this is important is because, again, going back to previous videos, you gotta see what you have, what pieces that you have. And you gotta ask yourself, what do you need from those pieces, and what function you need to have made from those pieces. That's how I came to make this ball joint, or this universal shoulder joint. The elbow is a very similar idea. You have pretty much the same hinge pieces from the two creator set, the two creator animal sets. So as you can see, you can elevate your elbow forward and backward. Now this is the same on the other side. This spell is symmetrical, so if you have something on the left side, you'll have something on the right side. Now here comes the hard and tough part. Hands. So with these 4 Lego sets, there isn't a pre-molded arm piece like you would see in, like, say, the Bionicle sets or the Hero sets. So I would actually have to come up with something that would approximate a hand. So in this case, what I did was I looked at the shape of the arm, or more specifically the forearm, and look at where my hand would be, where my fist would be, and then where my thumb would be. And then I used the Technic pieces from the Mars rover and kind of approximate the shape of a hand. Now, this is obviously not a hand where you have like fingers and you have you have an opposable thumb, or you have a palm or the back of your hand. But again, using the pieces that's available to you, you can approximate the hand, the appearance of the hand, and have the same function as the hand. And I'm going to demonstrate what that function is. So you see these weapons that I made for this mecha? With this Technical, I can put the beam saber right here, and it holds it in place quite well, as you can see. I can do the same thing with the rifle using the same Technical. Put this pin through here, swivel the arm a little bit, because there is some more weight on the gun than there is for the beam weapon, and it holds it up like that. Now, the cannon is a little trickier. Because of all the pieces, there's additional weight to it. So you may notice that on the side of the arm, there are these Technic connectors. So instead of using the right side, I'm going to use the left side. So that way I wouldn't have to take off the gun. So what I did was I made a connector piece on the arms, on both of the arms, where you can connect the white piece, this white connector piece, again, from the Mars rover, onto the arm. And what it does is that it kind of serves as an arm-mounted cannon. You'll notice that there's a red Technic pin there. You can always put it in your arm, but in this case, I'm just going to show you why I put these other pieces there. So as you can see now, this arm cannon is there to kind of like hold it in place, and it serves as like a secondary offensive weapon. And then when you don't use it, you can always stow it back like this, because that's what the swivel on the Technic pin is for. You can just swivel it back You can store it in the back like this when it's not in use. Now you can also, of course, put the beam saber on the other arm, like so. And then now you have a fully armed robot ready to go to battle. I'm going to move on to the head. The head is the other tough part because when you look at a robot, especially in the Gundam universe, a lot of them are shaped, they're very human shaped, but at the same time, it gets a lot of the influence. The head gets the influence from the ancient feudal samurais. So the head is supposed to shape somewhat like the head of a samurai, along with the armor that he would normally wear. So what I did was I took the pieces, again, from the Mars rover, from the creator set, and in this case, I used the pedal pieces from the friend set and create the create the head shape, the approximate head shape for the Gundam. Now I'm going to move on to the other details of this build. As you can see, as I mentioned before, there's like a lot of armor pieces. So the yellow pieces, they act as shin armor, knee armors, forearm armor. You got your shoulder armor. So that's why I use a yellow. The pop of yellow kind of make it distinct. I used the red pieces from the Friends flower set to give it that pop of color in certain areas. So you have that accent color. So it's not all just yellow, black, and white. There's like accent colors from like all over the robot. I also use pieces where you wouldn't normally think about, like say the eye pieces from the creator set, to kind of give it that decal detail. Because otherwise there's not a lot of graphic or not a lot of printed details on this build, other than the eyes that you would have. And it kind of serves as a mechanical reference. It's very much like, when you have like bolts or screws on a machine, you would see the low details. That's what the eyes do here, just to give it that pop of detail. On the side, you'll notice that I put in some of the clip pieces. They not only serve as the swivel pieces for the weapon, but also the extra accent color that you need to kind of make it look a little less bland. When you look at the back, I used the wheels from the Mars rover to make a kind of like a rocket thruster assembly. Again, they're very common in the Gundam universe. Plus, I kind of put these two red axles, they're almost like sword sheaths, where the robot can put other weapons, or maybe put a sword, or maybe other melee weapons when they're in stow. I also used the colored pieces from the Friends set and the Animal Birthday Party to give it the extra color. Here you see the neon pink color. That's what they're for. They kind of break off the monotony of the black and the beige/tan color that you see throughout the robot. Now, there are some weaknesses, of course. You're not going to get the perfect pieces, and because the fact that you're using 4 different sets, the pieces that are available is not always going to be the same color. Best example, you can see it in where the elbow joints are. This one is gray, this one is tan, and the same goes for the shoulder joint. You'll see that there's one brown, one gray. But you would try to blend it in as much as possible just to offset the color differences, at the same time give you the pieces and the function that you need for this build. I also added other details such as the tan, and I try to kind of disperse the colors a little bit so that they're not all clustered into one area. I did the same thing for the white. The white kind of makes the model pop out a little bit, but not too much. The hands, again, is tricky, but I made the hands or the forearms white so that it kind of mix in the colors, where you can see that where there's a vital joint is all in white mostly. Like the head, you have the white pieces. The thigh, you have the white pieces. The ankle, you have the white pieces. And of course, the hands are in white. Last but not least, everything is kind of put together where it's proportioned. So you're not going to see a huge a pair of feet. Same as the arms, they're not going to be huge compared to the rest of the robot. The torso and the upper and the lower torso, they're also in proportion to a human being, where the top it kind of barrels downward and then it kind of flares out a little bit, so where you have the thigh and the lower extremities. And of course the head is supposed, I mean, unless you want to make it like really tiny like you see in the anime and manga, I try to make it so that it is proportionate with the rest of the robot, so that the head is not comically large or ridiculously small. And finally, the way that I put this robot together is in modules. And why is that important? When I put together this robot, when I had make the concept, when I had this concept in my head, it was meant to be built in phases so that you don't do everything all at once. I'll give you an example. I'm going to take out the weapons first. Of course, the weapons and the base are also built separately so that they're not all done as you're putting this model together. And of course, I can take this apart like so. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of the base, or the stand, sorry. Okay, put this aside. So the robot itself, if you like pose it, it does have some substantial weight. If I do add some extra pieces, which I didn't for this robot or this mecha, it could stand by itself. But as it is, I just want to keep it so that it's built from the pieces only available from these bags, these poly bags. So what I did was, I can disassemble this robot. I'm going to start with the thighs. So I used the Technic pins. Okay, so like this. So you can see this is how the lower part of the mecha is built. So I built each of these by itself first, and then the waist is a separate piece, like so. And then when everything's more or less put together, I snap them together like I did with the pieces at the Mars rover build with these Technic pins. And these Technic pins are pretty snug. So when you put them on, they're not going anywhere. It's not gonna fall over the place. Same thing with the right leg. Just put it through the Technic pins into the holes. And that stays together. Okay. Then I connected the upper torso with the lower body by having this piece. Now this piece is obviously for the stand, and then connect this with the upper body, and then I have this. So that's how I build a lower body. The head, as I mentioned before, is in a module by itself. Now I know the eyes looks a little silly, but it serves a purpose. It serves as a filler for the space, for the gap that's on the top of the robot. And the top of the robot, as you can see, there's this 2x2 brick space. If there wasn't those two eyes, this would move back and forth every time you swivel the ball joint. So this module, you can always just take it apart and customize it, and then put it back into that slot. So that's what I'm going to do. And this hook piece is to kind of guide it back into the right place so it doesn't slip or it doesn't move over when it's not supposed to. Now the arms are also built in modules. So what I did was I took, I'm just going to take out the left side first. And you'll see this in the instructions that's included with this video. What I did was, this is actually built in two pieces. So first I did the shoulder and the lower body by building this portion, and then using what I described earlier in the video, I took the universal joint system, put it together, put a clip here, and then add a clip onto this piece here. And then when that's all done, said and done, I put this piece onto the side piece here, and then that's how I get the robot. So the whole thing is symmetrical, and when you do that, it actually helps you plan how and what pieces you need to make as you build your model. So if you're a beginner builder, symmetry is very important. But when you get to be more advanced, You can also plan for asymmetrical build, but that's a different type of mindset and a different video for another day. So I'm gonna put this guy back onto the stand. Like that. And again, like I said before, he is posable. He does have limitations, of course. Like number one, you'll notice that the hand is kind of awkward. It is something that, you know, I tried to come up with a better design, but given the limitation of the bricks, this is the best I can do given the materials. Arms move again. You can move in, swivel in a bit. The head moves up, left and right, moves up and down, like so. And the leg again has limited articulation, so you can make him kind of like put him in a stance, like so, getting ready to fight there. So that's pretty much what my thought process was when it came to designing this robot. If you're interested in building this robot, click the link below. It has the instructions in a PDF form. Let me know what you think. Thanks for following our channel. Thanks for following me through the last 4 videos to get to this point. And if you're interested in seeing more of these my own creation builds, like and subscribe, hit the button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.